What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, I want to talk about whether you should lease or finance the all-new Tesla Model 3 Performance. Now, a little bit of a spoiler alert here. I don't think the Tesla Model 3 Performance is a good value or a good lease deal in terms of value, and I'll explain why over the course of this video. So what we'll do in the first part of this video is we'll go to Tesla's website and we'll kind of analyze and study the Tesla Model 3 Performance lease deal in detail. We'll talk about the annual mileage allowance, we'll talk about the due at signing amount, we'll talk about what you can expect in terms of taxes and fees. We'll study every little detail about this lease, and you'll get a lot of value if you're planning to lease or finance this particular car. In the second part of this video, we'll run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this car, and it's just a value metric for you to determine whether a lease is a good deal in terms of value. And the Tesla Model 3 Performance is not a good lease deal in terms of value, and you'll see why in that part of the video. And then in the third part of this video, what we'll do is we'll compare the monthly finance payments to the monthly lease payments, and I'll sort of give you my final thoughts on whether you should lease or finance the Tesla Model 3 Performance. So if that sounds good to you, please be sure to like this video and please be sure to follow. And if you want awesome pre-negotiated lease deals on cars other than Teslas, please be sure to check out DriveMatch.com. It's a company that I co-founded where you can get pre-negotiated lease deals on just about every make and model, and you get the cars delivered right to your house. But enough of the talking, let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the Tesla website, and as you can see here, you can lease a Tesla Model 3 Performance all-wheel drive for $699 a month. That's with $3,000 down. It's a 36-month lease that allows for 10,000 miles a year. Now, if we scroll down, you'll see that Tesla is running a promotion right now where the stealth gray paint is always included in the price, but white, blue, black, silver, and red are usually an additional cost. And as you can see here, all the paints are included right now. You'll also see that if we go with the interior color, if you want to change it to white right now, the white is included as well. So if I were personally shopping for this car, I would, spec it out to the highest MSRP possible. I would probably go with one of the unique paints that has the higher cost in terms of the option cost, and I'd go with the white interior. I've actually had the white interior on a Tesla Model S that I owned. The white interior is awesome. It cleans up real nice and it looks fantastic. But anyways, let's just go back to the black interior. We'll go with the included stealth gray paint because I just want it to be a base model Tesla Model 3 Performance, and then we'll click on edit lease details. Now, Tesla has this fantastic lease calculator where you can dynamically adjust the pricing, and it kind of gives you all of the details so you don't really have any surprises. So as you can see here, all I did is entered my zip code, and it updates all of the taxes and fees, registration fees, everything is included in this calculator. And you'll see that all leases all Tesla Model 3 leases, including this Model 3 Performance lease, include the $7,500 EV tax credit. Now, if you finance this car, you may or may not get the tax credit, and I'll explain why. But when you lease it, everybody gets the $7,500 EV tax credit, and that's a huge advantage of leasing this car. Now, you'll see that the down payment is $3,000, but if we click on this button here that says include taxes and fees, your actual due at signing amount is $6,612, and this is for a 36-month lease that allows for 10,000 miles a year. If you go to a 24-month lease, the payment goes from $782 to $785. So if I were shopping for this car, I would just go for a 36-month lease. That's just me personally. And if you go to 12 or 15,000 miles a year, the payment will dynamically adjust. For example, if we go to 12,000 miles a year, the payment goes to $812 a month. But we'll keep this at 10,000 miles a month. But the trick here is that if you drive more than 10,000 miles a year, just get the 12 or 15,000 mile a year lease up front rather than paying the excess mileage penalty. And the excess mileage penalty is right down here in the fine print. It's 25 cents a mile. So much cheaper to just get the mileage up front rather than getting stuck with this penalty of 25 cents per mile, which is on the higher end of lease over mileage penalties. You'll also see that Tesla leases now have a option to purchase. So you have a buyout amount set here. So the residual on this car is $30,445. Now, whether you decide to buy this car at the end of the lease term really depends on, for me, it depends on whether you have positive equity or not. Now, at the end of the lease term, if the trade-in value on this car was like $25,000 or $26,000, I probably wouldn't buy this car because then you're just walking into negative equity. But Tesla's nonetheless do have a buyout option. So if you want to keep this long term for whatever reason, you do have that option now. You'll also see that you have a military, first responder, teacher, and student purchase program. So you get an additional $1,000 rebate. And if you're doing the Lyft driver purchase program, you get a $1,000 Tesla credit and $1,000 cash from Lyft. I don't know the details about this, but we can go over that maybe perhaps in a different video. Now, in this part of the video, what I want to do is run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Tesla Model 3 Performance. And it's just a quick equation which I'll run on the computer. And anytime you get a number over 1.5%, that typically is a vehicle that I would rather finance instead of lease, right? So the actual benefits, the financial benefits of leasing a car typically get negated anytime you're over 1.5%. If you're under 1.5%, that's what I consider a good lease deal. That's a car that I would lease instead of finance. If you're under 1.25%, that's what I consider a great deal. So you're getting closer to 1%. That's a great deal. So you should definitely lease that car. And anytime you're under 1%, that's just an amazing lease deal. And those are extremely rare. And a lot of EVs, including like the Honda Prologue, the Chevy Equinox, EV Blazers, in some cases Cadillac Lyriq, Toyota BZ4X, the Subaru Solterra. There's another hand, some BMWs, you can lease under 1%. And anytime you're under 1%, that's an amazing lease deal in terms of value. So let's go ahead and run that calculation on this Tesla Model 3 Performance. So I got my handy dandy calculator out, and what we're going to do is take the total due at signing amount, which in this case is $6,612, and then we'll subtract the monthly payment of $782 from this amount. Since it's included in the due at signing amount, you get $5,830. Then we'll divide this by 36 to take this due at signing amount and split it into 36 equal parts. And when we do that, we get $161. Then what we're going to do is add the monthly payment of $782 back in, and that gives us an effective zero down monthly payment of $943.94. So this is kind of a hypothetical situation. This is just saying that if you put $0 down, your monthly payment is going to be $943 a month, all taxes, fees rolled in. So if you multiplied this number by 36, that would be the total out-of-pocket cost of this lease over 36 months. Now what you want to do is divide this number by this vehicle's MSRP. I think it's $54,990. Yes, $54,990. So let's go ahead and divide this number by the vehicle's MSRP, $54,990. And multiply this by 100 to make it a percentage, and you get 1.71%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, anytime you get a number over 1.5%, that is a vehicle that I would typically finance over lease. You know, but when you factor in this Tesla Model 3's Performance's depreciation, you might still want to lease this vehicle, but in terms of just pure value, this lease is not a good lease deal in terms of value. There are cars out there like the BMW i4 M50 that lease much better than this. There's not many other cars in this segment that I can think of off the top of my head. But, you know, if you really want this car, if you really want to lease it, I would still lease it over financing it. But the lease benefit is slightly negated since you're over 1.5%. But if you factor in depreciation and the fact that you don't need to get gap insurance with the lease, you know, still might make more sense to lease it. I would personally still lease it, but that's not saying that I think it's a good lease deal. I just still would lease it if I had to make the choice between leasing and financing this particular car. Now, if you were to finance this particular car with $7,000 down, assuming a 72-month loan term and an interest rate of 3.99%, and assuming you qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit, your monthly payment's going to be $769 a month. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you finance this car, not everybody is going to qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit. If you click on this button that says View Criteria, you have to meet these income restrictions right here, or, you know, this criteria in order to get the $7,500 federal tax credit. So you have to make less than $300,000 for a married couple who's filing jointly, under $225K for head of households, and under $150K for all other filers. If you don't meet this criteria, you will not qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit. And when you lease it, right, when you lease this particular car, everybody gets the $7,500 EV tax credit, regardless of how much money you make, right? You could be a billionaire making millions of dollars a year, hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and you'd still get the $7,500 EV tax credit. So you're looking at about a payment of $769 a month, assuming you get the $7,500 EV tax credit, $769 a month with $7,000 down. Now, increase the down payment on the lease to make the total due at signing, including taxes and fees, $7,000. So we're comparing apples to apples. And look at this, the monthly payment is exactly the same. So your 36-month total out-of-pocket cost is going to be exactly the same. But with leasing, you get downside depreciation risk, right? So if you finance this car and you want to go trade it in or sell it in 3 to 5 years, you might be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 upside down. No surprise, Tesla might change their prices. They might lower the prices on this car, which puts downward pressure on the price of this car, or the secondary market on this car, the used car market on this car. And then with leasing, you also get gap insurance. So it's up to you what you want to do. At the end of the day, it's your decision. I think if you wanted to keep this car for 10 years, maybe financing it would be a couple $1,000s cheaper. But the protections that you get with leasing, you can get out of it essentially whenever you want. I would rather lease this car, and everybody qualifies for the $7,500 EV tax credit. But in terms of a 36-month out-of-pocket cost, you're looking at the same amount of money. But leasing does have gap insurance included, so leasing might be the slight winner here, because you definitely want gap insurance if you were to finance this particular car. So in a nutshell, the Tesla Model 3 Performance lease in terms of value is just not a good lease deal in terms of value. We see a lot of EV leases, 1.25% and under. At 1.7%, I just don't think this is a good lease deal in terms of value. But if I were in the market for this car, I would probably still lease it. And in my honest opinion, I do think that the lease programs are going to get better on this car in the near future. I just don't see them moving a lot of units on the Tesla Model 3 Performance priced the way it is. I think the pricing is going to get a lot more competitive in the near future, but let's see what happens. But the Tesla Model 3, the long-range all-wheel drive and the long-range rear-wheel drive do lease much better than this particular car. So if you want a Model 3, maybe consider those options. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. If you have any other questions about leasing or leasing a Tesla, let me know in the comment section below. And please be sure to like this video, and please be sure to follow. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.